Sourav Ganguly, an undisputed legend of Indian cricket, the man who taught the team to fight back and started a generational change in how Indian cricketers were seen and how they behaved. But the change he managed to bring about inside cricket's dressing rooms, Dada hasn't really managed in his second stint in the sport as an administrator. 14th October 2019 heralded the start of what was expected to be something special. Finally, a cricketer in cricket administration, Sourav Ganguly, was named the BCCI president. One of his first statements after taking over: "My biggest priority will be to look after first-class cricketers. I had requested that to the COA for 3 years and they didn't listen. That's the first thing I will do. Look after the financial health of our first-class cricketers." Almost 3 years have passed since that comment as well, and the contracts for domestic cricketers is nowhere in sight. In fact, when the pandemic forced most of the domestic season to be curtailed and cricketers were left without a means of income, the board took more than a year to announce compensations, meaning more than a year without a single rupee coming into the bank accounts of the same domestic players Ganguly had said were his priorities. The Ranji Trophy, India's oldest domestic tournament, was cancelled for the first time even though an IPL was organised. The Ranji Trophy this year too almost got cancelled, but then was forced to fit into two sides of the IPL after the board was criticised about their priorities. This is the state of domestic cricket in India. But just going back to Ganguly's quote and the mention of the 3 years spent by the COA running the BCCI. And let me just point out some of the stark similarities to why the COA was placed by the Supreme Court in the first place and how it's pretty much back to normal business since the new board took over. The COA was appointed in January of 2017 because the then BCCI president Anurag Thakur was seen as incapable by the Supreme Court to implement the Lodha committee reforms. Ganguly and Jaisha took over in October of 2019 with an understanding that they would implement the Lodha reforms, one among which was the tenure clause. All officials can serve the board for a total of 6 years before they go into a cooling off period. Ganguly and Shah's cooling off period started in July of 2020. 2 years later, they're still in power, much unlike what the Lodha committee had recommended, and much like the reason Anurag Thakur was evicted in the first place. The Lodha committee even recommended that 3 selectors be used for the men's national team. The board got it changed to 5, but they don't even have 5 for the last 4 months, with 1 selector stepping down in February. The Cricket Advisory Committee that selects the selectors is also 1 member short, with Madan Lal's tenure ending in October of 2021. But the replacements for the 2 posts, well, there's been no time for that apparently. So what was the whole point of the Lodha committee, the recommendations, the Supreme Court's many hearings and the COA, if things were going to go back to square one at the end of it all and the BCCI would be run as it had been run for decades before? Yes, the board is making more money than ever before. The sponsorship of the IPL, the broadcast rights of the IPL and India matches, the thousands of crores coming in every single year. But where is the money going? Certainly not in the pockets of India's women cricketers. The 2017 ODI World Cup runners-up and the 2020 T20 World Cup finalists have shown tremendous improvement in the last few years and have definitely reached more ICC finals than their male counterparts. But when it comes to getting back from the board, the efforts have been almost comical. The team's prize money from the 2020 T20 World Cup wasn't even handed to them for an entire year. The pandemic year, where they played no international cricket or domestic cricket. Oh yeah, when the board was busy organising an IPL and a men's tour of Australia and a home series as well, the Indian women's cricket team felt the real pain of the pandemic when not one single game was assigned to them for 12 whole months, simply forgotten by the board with a former captain as president. The New Zealand Cricket Board has taken massive strides in the right direction, announcing equal match fee for their male and female cricketers. The BCCI, well, the highest paid female cricketer, makes rupees 50 lakh a year from her central contract. The lowest grade in the men's contract earns a male player rupees 1 crore. The gap is glaring. Nothing really seems to be being done to close it in the 3 years of the Ganguly times.